Hello everyone, good morning. Today is 9th of January and I welcome you all to the Hindu newspaper analysis discussion. So guys, in this particular video, we are going to take up the entire analysis of Hindu newspaper, and also I would like to tell you that in this particular session, we are going to cover the newspaper from both prelims as well as mains point of view. And in this newspaper, you can, if you want, you can download the explainer notes of this particular session from Telegram channel. Link for the Telegram channel is given in description box in YouTube. In Telegram channel, you will get the detailed notes of all the articles that have come into today's newspaper. You will be finding the notes in you will be finding the notes along with the background as well as a detailed way forward wherever it is needed. And also guys, I would like to tell you that in this session we are also going to cover the MCQs and mapping entries specifically with respect to prelims examination. Now before starting this session, we will take overview of entire newspaper so that we can understand that which articles are important for our examination today. So let's take first of all the overview. Okay. Now, so here we have Delhi edition, and on first page we have this particular article. Supreme Court sets aside release of 11 life convicts in Bilkis Bano case. We'll take this particular article, guys, and we are not going to only cover this particular article with respect to the timeline as what has happened, but specifically what constitution provides, okay, and what are the academic dimensions behind this issue. We are going to cover it. Then moving on, after that, India Maldives discuss spat, Israel steps into controversy. So guys, what happened recently? We have seen that first of all, elections happened in Maldives. After election, Mr. Mohammad Muzu became president in Maldives. And post his election, what has happened? It has been said that now Maldives will become pro-China, because earlier when India Out campaign was going on in Maldives, in the previous government, Mr. Mohammad Mizu belonged to the party which supported the India Out campaign. So therefore, it was said that now what will happen, Maldives policy might become anti-India. And in this direction, we have seen that in the past, Maldives asked the Indian personnels to leave Maldives. Also, hydrographic surveys that were being conducted by India Maldives, they got discontinued. And now recently, when Prime Minister visited Lakshadweep, so in that direction, some of the deputy ministers in Maldives, they criticize the Prime Minister. Because of that, a controversy has escalated. And now both India and Maldives are discussing this particular issue and are trying to resolve it. And Israel has also uh, stepping in between. Then further moving on after that, guys. Next, we have the articles DGCA revises duty norms for pilots. So, guys, recently we have seen that. Okay, so recently we have seen that many such kind of an instances have developed. Okay, first of all, let me tell you. So we have seen that first of all, what has happened recently in Japan, there was an aircraft accident that happened where two of the aircrafts they got collided, and in that five people have died. In fact, one article I covered in editorial section in yesterday. Okay, also what has happened, there is one more incident happened, that one flight, Air Alaska flight, find one window panel, it got stripped off while the flight was in air. So such aviation accidents happening at this particular hour is not acceptable, and often we find that the accidents might be because of human error, where pilots fatigue can be responsible. So for that capacity, DGCA now is revising the duty norms, allowing for more rest for the pilot, okay, so that the fatigue is reduced. Then moving on, in city section, largely we have political articles and advertisements, etc. guys, in this capacity. Nothing much important has been given. So directly we'll reach to editorial. Now in editorial, we have this article, curb the disillusionment with the traditional rule of law. We'll take this particular article for examination. Unlawful remission, this is with respect to the Bilkis Bano case. We'll take this particular article also. Then going on, an ambitious push for values ethics in higher education, will take this particular article also. YS Sharmila's entry should give boost to Congress chance in Andhra Pradesh, political article not needed, so not need to go in this thing. Then further moving on, understanding European Union's carbon border tax law, will take this particular article for examination. Then moving on, uh, here you can see that the article talks about exploring India's diverse cultural heritage through GI tax. Now basically what article is saying here, so article has provided that when we talk about the GI tax, geographical indication tax, which are given to the products which are found specifically in a particular area. So they had said that 5 categories, major categories that are there: agriculture, foodstuff, handicraft, manufactured, and natural. So in that they have given a state wise analysis, state wise data, that which state has got how many GI tags. Okay, for example, when we talk about Tamil Nadu, for handicraft it has got 34 GI tags, for agriculture it has got 16 tags, okay, for food 8 tags, GI tags, etc. So there is nothing concept related thing in this particular article. Okay, so just the data that which state having how many GI tag has been given. Then further moving on. After that, next page, debating India's new hit and run law. We'll take this particular article for examination. Then next page, how surgical care in India is neglected part of public health. We are going to see this particular article also. Okay, then Prime Minister suggests rollout of 3 new criminal law in UTs by year end. So we have seen that recently 3 criminal laws they got passed, and these criminal laws will replace IPC, CRPC, Indian Evidence Act. So by the year end, their rollout in UTs will also happen. Okay, so guys, up till now you have seen that every article that has been there which is important for UPSC, we have taken it. Now understand this one particular thing, that I would like to address a very important point here at this particular point, and the point is that, see, every day I take newspaper overview. I take newspaper overview just to show you this particular thing, that what is the placement of the articles, and just to give you a kind of an assurance that you are being covered for all the dimensions. Just I want that you should not have any FOMO, that is fear of missing out, because often under this fear of missing out syndrome that is there in UPSC aspirants mind, what happened, they waste too much of the time going in so much of unnecessary nitty-gritties by which their attempts get spoiled. So understand this particular thing, that the only objective to show you this overview is to give you a kind of an assurance that nothing has been selected just as an arbitrary manner. Okay, then moving on in this particular capacity, here we have article DRDO counter drone system ready, handed over to private firms. We'll take this particular article for examination. Then here this entire page is filled with the Bilkis Bano case issue. So I have integrated already all these major important things that are there. So fine. Now, moving on, after that, Viksit Bharat Yatra to help schemes reach all beneficiaries. So, Prime Minister has launched the Viksit Bharat Yatra, and this Viksit Bharat Yatra, okay, it is being said that it is being launched so that the people could be told about the schemes that are there, beneficiaries could be made aware. Opposition parties say that it is just to appeal the voters for the upcoming 2024 election. So, that is just a different kind of viewpoints that have been there. After that, moving on, Modi Lord's Hasina on poll victory. So in Bangladesh, we see that the Sheikh Hasina has scored a victory. Then further moving on, okay, here there is one article. I have to form bench to hear plea against collegium system. So guys, in the past, we have seen that often these particular allegations have been made that the collegium system, which is there to appoint the judiciary, high court and supreme court judges, it is flawed. It has certain problems. So for that reform of the collegium system, there are many times the discussions have been held. So CGI had said that in this particular capacity, a bench would be formed. Okay, now moving on guys, in this capacity, on world page, back in power, Hasina says election was free and fair, Israeli attacks. Okay, then guys, on business page, largely we have the corporate trends, etc. that we have in this particular capacity. Okay, then guys, moving on, we have the sports section. Okay, moving on, we have the sports section, and then we have here the science page. Now, what is the article on today's science page? South Korea superconductivity claim revived with new data. Guys, recently what has happened, certain researchers in South Korea, they claimed that they have found basically now understand this particular thing. Superconductivity controversy was there. They had said that they have found a material by the name of LK99, which was a superconductor at room temperature. So what is a superconductor? Now guys, let's say, first of all, suppose from A point to B point, I have to transmit energy. Okay, there will be friction, there will be heat, there will be the loss of energy that will happen. Okay, so in this capacity, superconductors are the one which can help in transmitting the energy from one point to another point without any loss. And it was found that such superconductors are not possible at room temperature. For such superconductivity, very low temperatures are needed. But the researchers in South Korea say that no, they have found a material LK99 which is a superconductor at room temperature. Then it was said that no, it is not a superconductor. A controversy happened. Now new evidence has come again. So guys, one thing that I have read this entire article, but for exam point of view, nothing much substance is given here. Okay, so this is guys the entire overview of the newspaper. And now let's discuss all relevant articles one by one in the detail. But before that, let's cover the MCQs. Let's cover the MCQs. So understand this thing that now we have started taking up the multiple choice questions specifically on current affairs. So previous class, I have given you 3 questions. Let's discuss them and then we'll see the questions for today. Guys, I will request you that when you are seeing these questions, please ensure that you are writing the right answer as per you in the comment box. Why these particular questions have been integrated? They have been integrated just to ensure that while you read the current affairs, you are more careful, because next day a question might be asked. So when this thing will be in your mind that next day a question might come here, you will be more careful. And when you are solving the questions, a kind of a revision also happens. So please actively participate in this particular thing. So yesterday I have given you 3 questions. Yesterday I have given you these 3 questions. Okay. Okay. Consider the statements with respect to Digi Yatra. Okay. Consider the statement with respect to Digi Yatra. So statement 1, Digi Yatra is a digital initiative to improve the ease of travel through railway and airway. Okay. So this statement is wrong. Why? Because it has not been launched for railway. It has just been launched for airway. Then the second statement, it is developed by National Informatics Center. National Informatics Center comes under MITI, that is Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. Okay, is it developed by NIC? No, it is not developed by NIC. It is developed by the Data Evolve, which is a startup. It was selected by under the Atal Innovation Mission. Okay, so it is not developed by government in-house. It has been developed by a startup. So this second statement is also wrong. So what is the right option? Right option is none of the above, D. None of the above, D. Now, moving on guys to the next question. Yesterday we have taken it. Okay, so question, this was actually a PYQ. Petroleum and Natural Gas Regulatory Board is the first regulatory body set up by the government of India. First regulatory body to set up? No, this is wrong. Why? Because a Telecom Regulatory Authority of India was the first body. Okay, so this is a wrong statement. Now, if we remove this option 1, okay, A gets striked out, C gets striked out, and all of the above also gets striked out. So you are left with only this. That is 2 and 3. 2 and 3. Logically, this answer will come. But if we talk about the PNGRB is to ensure competitive market for gas. Yes, if it is a regulatory body, obviously its task will be the regulation of gas. So that is correct. Appeals against the PNGRB go before Appellate Tribunal of Electricity. It is correct. Okay. But even if you didn't knew it, if you just remove it out, only the option B will stay there. Okay, so that is about the yesterday's question. And now guys, let's take the questions for today, and please be very careful. Please be very careful and write the answer in the comment boxes. So first question is fine. Consider the following statements. Consider the following statements. Statement number 1, the minimum age prescribed for any person to be the member of panchayat is 25 years. A panchayat reconstituted after premature dissolution continues only for the remainder period. Okay, statement 1, statement 2. Okay, which of the following statement are correct? Okay, A, 1 only, 2 only, both, neither 1 nor 2. Please write in the comment box that what will be the correct option. Okay, please write in the comment box. Now, moving on, and let's go to the next question. Just a minute. Okay, moving on, and let's go to the question number 2. So question number 2 is with respect to the Aditya L1. We have recently discussed Aditya L1 yesterday. So from there question has come. Aditya L1, which is an observatory solar mission, it would observe, sorry, here there is one correction. It will observe sun continuously except during eclipses. It will observe sun continuously except during eclipses. So is this statement right or wrong? The mission's journey is notably shorter than India's previous Mars orbiter mission Mangalyaan. L2 positioned directly behind Earth as viewed from the sun. Okay, there is one more position apart from L1, L2. Is L2 is behind the Earth. Is it right or not? So these three statements are there. Okay, there is one correction. It would observe sun, not moon. Okay, so what is the correct option? 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 1 and 3, none of the above. Okay, so please write your answer. Then moving on to the next question. Recently, Kanya Shri Prakalp project was in news, which is started by the Odisha government to stop child marriage. And the second statement, every citizen's legal marriage age was set at 18 by the Prohibition of Child Marriage Act of 2016. So choose the correct option, okay, and write the right answer as per you in the comment box. Okay, so these are the three questions. Please write the correct answer. And now guys, moving on, and let's cover the mapping entry of the day. Now, what is the objective of these mapping entries? Objective of these mapping entries is to ensure that your global mapping is done, because on this particular line, a question is coming every year. So today, mapping that we are going to take will be of Iran. Now, why we are going to take Iran mapping? Particularly because of the reason that recently bombings were carried in Iran by ISIS, and because of that Iran is in news. So therefore, around the Iran, some questions on mapping could be formed. So let's understand the mapping here. Let's understand the mapping here. So first of all, one thing, that where this blast has happened, where this particular blast has happened. So blast has happened here in the Kerman, okay, in Kerman. So if we talk about the Kerman, you find this particular thing, that the Kerman, it is a city, it is a ancient city and a province in the Iran, okay, fine. So there are two attacks that have happened. Now, first of all, as we talk about Iran, we need to know who are the neighbors of Iran. We need to know that who are the neighbors of Iran. So how we are going to start? We are going to start from 12 o'clock. We are going to start from 12 o'clock and we will come in a clockwise manner. So at 12 o'clock, we see that Iran is bordering Caspian Sea, which is a very important thing to know. Then first we have here Turkmenistan. Then here we have Afghanistan. Then here we have Pakistan. You can remember it by the acronym TAP. You can remember it by the acronym TAP. Okay. Then guys, here if you see in the south we have deep south, we have Indian Ocean. Then here we have the Strait of Hormuz. Here we have the Strait of Hormuz, and here we have the Persian Gulf. Then when we talk about the next neighbors of the Iran, here we have Iraq. Here we have Iraq. Now guys, if you observe Kuwait very carefully, it would seem that the Kuwait is making a border with Iran, but actually it is not making a border with the Iran. Okay, so Iraq is the next neighbor. And then after that, we have here Turkey. Then here we have Armenia and Azerbaijan. Okay, so all these are the neighbors of Iran. Please keep it in your mind. Okay, fine. So again, I'll say Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iraq, Turkey, Armenia, Azerbaijan. Okay, so these are the neighbors of Iran. And then as we talk about the major water bodies around Iran, in north we have Caspian Sea. In north we have Caspian Sea. In south we have the Indian Ocean, where we have the Strait of Hormuz. We have Persian Gulf here. Okay, now there are some other important points with respect to the Iran also that we need to know. Okay, now guys, when we talk about Iran, understand this particular thing, that Iran is situated on the Persian Plateau. Iran is situated on the Persian Plateau. Okay, Persian Plateau. Now often it is also called as Iranian Plateau. It is also called as Iranian Plateau or Persian Plateau. And when we talk about this particular Persian Plateau, it is the part of Eurasian plate. Okay, it is the part of a Eurasian plate which is wedged between Arabian and Indian plate. Okay, then also guys, borders we have already discussed, but one very important point that I would like to specifically talk about Iran, it is the 17th largest country, and it has two very important deserts. Two salt deserts are also there in Iran. Now they are very important because a question might come that Dashte Kabir and Dashte Lut are two important salt deserts. They are situated in which country? They might give you option Syria, Iraq, Iran, Lebanon, etc. So you need to know that it is in Iran. So two of the salt deserts, that is Dashte Kabir and Dashte Lut. and they are onto the eastern portion of the Iranian plateau or Persian plateau. Okay, so on the east, okay, so on the east, these two salt plateaus are there. Okay, fine. And then guys, also one more thing is that when geographically we have seen a kind of a correlation between the temperature of Iran and the monsoons in India. So a hotter Iran equals to greater monsoons over the Indian subcontinent. This relation have been seen historically. Okay, then further moving on, one more dimensions with respect to the Iran mapping I would like to point out here. Now guys, if you see the map of Iran, you will find that there are some very important port cities that are there in Iran. That location and placement also you need to understand. So here we have the Chabahar port, and here we have the Bandar Abbas port. Here we have the Bandar Abbas port. Now Chabahar port and Bandar Abbas port are very important, and both the ports are located in Iran. Why they are important? Because guys, India is already taking up the Chabahar project. India is already taking up the Chabahar project. So this Chabahar port that is there, it is being developed by India's assistance. Now why India is developing this Chabahar port? Because guys, through this Chabahar port, India will try to get an entry in Afghanistan, and through Afghanistan we will directly get an entry to Central Asia. I will also show you this particular thing on a larger map. So you know this particular thing that Iran shares the border with Afghanistan. Now we don't have good relations with Pakistan. We don't have good relations with Pakistan, and as we don't have good relations with Pakistan, we find this particular thing that Pakistan does not gives access to Afghanistan. So therefore we will go to Chabahar port, and from Chabahar port we'll go to Afghanistan, and then through Afghanistan we'll go to the Central Asia. We'll go to the Central Asia. Then there is also one more project that is there. There is also one more project that is there, and that is the Bandar Abbas port. Now Bandar Abbas port, why it is important? Because India has also participated in INSTC, International North-South Transport Corridor. International North-South Transport Corridor. Now, what is this INSTC? Now, this particular corridor, by this corridor, we will first enter Iran, then we will enter Caspian Sea, and then we'll directly reach to the Russia. Well, then through the Central Asian region, we'll reach to Russia. So, this particular INSTC, it will be the entry in INSTC will be through the Bandar Abbas port. So these are two very important port locations here. Okay, so that is all guys about it. I hope that you have understood all these particular things. Very, very important mapping locations with respect to Iran. And guys, one more thing is that I hope that you are getting advantage of this new thing that we have started. So please also write in the comment box that whether it is beneficial to you or not, whether you like us to continue with it or whatever your views are. Now, moving on, and let's start with the first article for the today. Let's start with the first article for the today. Okay. Now, guys, every class we start with the GS quotation, and the GS quotations that we are going to take for today is from Benjamin Disraeli. So, Benjamin Disraeli says that power has only one duty, that is to secure the social welfare of the people. Power has only one duty, that is to secure the social welfare of the people. Power can never be used. Power can never be used to suppress people, or power can never be used to enhance one's own interest, but to ensure welfare of everyone. Now, the first article that we are going to cover is this article with respect to Bilkis Bano case. Bilkis Bano case. First of all, let's understand this particular article with an understanding that you don't know anything, and then we are going to go in all the constitutional and other important relevant dimensions. So basically, Bilkis Bano was a Muslim woman. She was a Muslim woman, and during 2002 Gujarat riots, she was raped. At that point of a time, she was pregnant, and also what has happened, her family was killed in front of her. Her family was killed. And in this particular matter, 11 men, they were sentenced to life imprisonment. 11 men were sentenced to life imprisonment. Now guys, when we talk about this entire matter, so basically this incident of rape happened in 2002. Now Supreme Court order in 2003 that this particular matter should be taken up through the CBI. So CBI inquiry was ordered by Supreme Court in 2003. And what happened in 2008? In 2008, these 11 men, they were ordered that they have to go through the life imprisonment. Then this particular matter was appealed in Bombay High Court in 2017, and Bombay High Court also upheld this life imprisonment. Okay, so this is the matter that has unfolded. Now, beyond that, you are not really required to go. Now, guys, what actually happened? What actually happened in 2022? In 2022, in 2022, one of a person out of these 11 person approached approached for the remission. Approached for the remission. He asked that the remainder of the life imprisonment should be waived off. Now, we are going to understand this particular matter. What happened, guys? In this particular matter, Gujarat government finally gave a remission to these 11, all the 11 people. That okay, you have served a long period in the jail, and then these 11 people were released out of the jail. And after this, people, they started criticizing the Gujarat government. People came on social media and said that a woman was raped while she was pregnant, her family was killed in front of her. This is something inhumane, and in this matter it is not a right thing that these 11 people now have been released. So therefore, what happened, this particular matter was filed again in the Supreme Court, and now Supreme Court has finally again given a judgment in this Bilkis Bano case. And first of all, if I tell you, Supreme Court had said this particular thing, that these 11 men who have been released, they cannot be released. It is a gravest violation of human dignity. They have to come back and they will be serving their jail term again. So the what Supreme Court has done, Supreme Court has set aside the release of these 11 life convicts. Now, first of all, let's understand that what Supreme Court has observed. Supreme Court has observed that the Gujarat government has acted in tandem with the prisoners and has ensured their early release, and which is not the right usage of power. It is not the right usage of power. Also, this particular judgment is a blow to the center. Why it is a blow to the center? Because the center has also approved the release of these 11 people. The release of these 11 people. Now, why Supreme Court has given this particular judgment? Supreme Court has given this particular judgment on the basis that Supreme Court says this particular thing, that Gujarat government did not had any power. Gujarat government did not had any power to release these people. Why Gujarat government did not have the power? Understand this particular thing. Basically, guys, this crime was committed in Gujarat, but the sentencing that was done, it was carried in Maharashtra, Mumbai. So case was transferred from Gujarat to Maharashtra, so that in neutral manner, in non-partisan manner, the case can be decided. So in Maharashtra, the sentence was given. So it is being said by the Supreme Court that Maharashtra government has the power to decide whether remission will be given or not. Gujarat government was not the competent body. So therefore, their release has been set aside. Now guys, when we talk about this particular judgment on a merit, it is a very important judgment because it will restore the faith in judiciary. Also, Supreme Court has said this particular thing, that when we talk about the personal liberty is important and is guaranteed by the Article 21 of the Constitution. But personal liberty gained through the breach of law cannot be protected. And how this release happened? This release happened by the breach of law, because law did not empower the Gujarat government. Law was in the court of Maharashtra, but Gujarat government released them. So the law of breach has happened, and we will not protect their personal liberty. Okay, this is something that has happened. Also, now this is a very important line which you can write in your ethics GS paper number 4 paper. What Supreme Court said? Supreme Court said that there is no room for compassion or sympathy when the rule of law has to be enforced. So often, guys, this particular thing comes in ethics, that what is more important? Is the compassion more important? Is doing your duty more important? So Supreme Court had said that when duty comes, when the law enforcement comes, compassion, sympathy cannot exist. They are secondary things. Now, let's understand. So this is all about what has been reported in the newspaper. Now let's go little bit more analytical and let's see what Constitution says in this particular regard. So guys, first of all, you might have read in your Lakshmikant already that we have Article 72 and Article 161, which talks about the pardoning power of president and governor. President and governor, they both can pardon. President under Article 72 and governor Article 161 can pardon a convict and can suspend, can remit, or can commute their sentence. But apart from president and governor, state government can also remit, can also give the commutation to prisoner. Why? Because guys, understand this particular thing, that when we talk about the prisons, prisons happens to be a state subject. Prison happens to be the state subject. So state governments under the section 432 of the CRPC Code of Criminal Procedure has the power to give the commutations, have the power to give the remissions. Okay, but one more thing is that the state governments can not only on arbitrary basis can release any person. There are certain grounds that have to be followed, and therefore section 433A of CRPC puts certain restrictions on the power of state to commute or to remit the sentence of any person. And the most important condition is this, that any person's jail term, suppose if a person was convicted, if a person has committed a crime where death penalty was there or life imprisonment was there. So in the two cases where death imprisonment or life imprisonment is there, and if in the case of death penalty, punishment is converted to life imprisonment, then only after 14 years, a person can be released. So in anyhow, you cannot release a person before 14 years. After 14 years, a person can be released. Then further guys, here if we see, Supreme Court has given certain grounds, that on whose grounds a person can be released from the jail. So 5 grounds have been given in the Lakshman Naskar versus Union of India case. Lakshman Naskar versus Union of India case, 5 grounds have been given. Let's understand these 5 grounds. So before releasing a person, it has to be seen that whether the offense is an individual act of crime, that does not affect the society. Okay, if a crime against the society as a large has been done, then they cannot be released. Second, whether there is a chance of crime being repeated in the future. Third, whether the convict has lost the potentiality to commit the crime. Now here the factor of old age will come. Then next is whether any purpose is being served in keeping the convict in prison. If no purpose is being served, then release that person. Socio-economic condition of the convict's family. Keeping these 5 grounds in mind, a person can be released. However, if it is a life imprisonment, he can be released only after 14 years, and after 14 years, these 5 conditions, if are getting fulfilled, a person can be released. Now, this is the basic understanding with respect to CRPC and Constitution. By the way, CRPC is being replaced now by the Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita. Okay, now moving on. Okay, moving on, guys. Fine. So now what has happened in the Bilkis Bano case? Let's understand this particular thing. So basically, one of the convict moved to Supreme Court in 2022 requesting that they should be given remission as per the Gujarat's 1992 remission policy. Now I told you that minimum 14 years jail has to be served. So in 2022, after serving for 15 years, this person moved to Supreme Court. Now Supreme Court said that actually Gujarat was the appropriate government to decide whether the Gujarat was the appropriate government to decide whether the remission is to be given or not. Okay, Gujarat is the right government. Okay, by the way, recently now the judgment that has been given by Supreme Court yesterday, they have reversed this thing. They said that no, Gujarat was not a right government, Maharashtra is a right government. But at that point of a time in 2022, Supreme Court said that Gujarat is a right government. Now guys, when we talk about the Gujarat remission policy, understand this thing. This Gujarat remission policy of 1992, it was in force when the crime was committed in 2002, and also this policy was in force when the conviction was given in 2008. And this Gujarat remission policy, Gujarat policy of 1992, it provided that the prisoner can apply for the remission on the basis that life imprisonment is arbitrary. They can apply for the remission, and they applied for this particular thing. But guys, there is one more angle that develops here. What angle develops here? Understand this particular thing, that in 2012 already Supreme Court has invalidated this policy. Okay, 1992 policy got invalidated by Supreme Court in 2012. And then Gujarat government came out with the remission policy in 2014. And this remission policy of 2014 contains an annexure where the cases have been listed where the remission will not be given, and they have said that the cases where the remission will not be given are the cases which has been investigated by the agency under the Delhi Special Police Establishment Act. Now, when we talk about the CBI is agency under the Delhi Special Police Establishment Act. And if you remember in the start, I told you that a CBI inquiry was done. So this case was handled by CBI. And such cases which was handled by CBI, which was investigated by CBI, remission will not be there. So it means the remission cannot be given in this case also. Also, it was said that prisoner convicted for murder with rape or gang rape, they cannot be given the remission. And if we see in Bilkis Bano case, murder and rape, gang rape was there. Okay, gang rape was there. So they cannot be convicted. So as per 2014 policy, they cannot be they cannot be released. As per 1992 policy, they could be released. Now, two questions actually developed in the front of Supreme Court here. Number one, which policy will be used, 1992 policy or 2014 policy? And question number two, will Gujarat be deciding or Maharashtra be deciding? So Supreme Court, now the latest judgment that it has given yesterday, they said that first of all, 1992 policy should not have been used, 2014 policy should have been used. Secondly, as per the Supreme Court, Maharashtra government is competent, not the Gujarat government. So they have set aside the release. So this is, guys, as how this entire matter has evolved. I hope that you have understood it. And now moving to the next article. Okay, so we have this article. Okay. Curb the disillusionment with the traditional rule of law. Curb the disillusionment with the traditional rule of law. Okay. So basically, guys, what this article is talking about, the article is talking about respect for the fundamental norm, respect for the rule of law, and how sometimes the rule of law itself might become a little bit, sometimes it might become unethical, or its application might become unethical. Now, let's understand this particular article. But first, this article we are going to use with respect to GS paper number 2, social justice, law and order. Social justice, law and order, GS paper number 2, we will use it. Now, article says this particular thing, that when we talk about the modern secular context, we are always told to respect the fundamental norm of the society. And when we talk about in the context of India, Constitution of India is the holy book, is a sacred book that we need to respect. Law needs to be respected. Even the father of the nation, that is the Gandhiji, he said this particular thing, that always we have to respect the laws of the land. But at the same time, Gandhiji said that sometimes some laws are unethical, and some laws are unethical, and often it becomes a moral duty of a citizen to oppose the laws which are unethical, which are immoral. And he did the same during his Dandi March. So what was happened in the Dandi March? So basically in the Dandi March, the Gandhiji's opposition was against the salt tax that was imposed by the Britishers. So Gandhiji did the march, picked up the salt, broke the salt law, and was ready to face the jail also. So this was the Gandhiji's way, that the law which are unethical are needed to be opposed, Now, the article says this particular thing, that what has happened right now, the present government has decided that there are certain infirmities, outdatedness in the law, okay, and sometimes the law's usage is being molded by the enforcement agencies to serve their own vested interest. Understand this thing. So there are two type of problems in the law. Number one, infirmities, outdated law. For example, now the 3 criminal law that we are changing, these laws, okay, apart from CRPC, okay, for example, Indian Penal Code, when we talk about Indian Penal Code, came in 1860, colonial time. Today we are in 2024. So this has been such an old law. So laws are sometimes outdated. They don't suit the present needs of the time. So such kind of laws are needed to be removed because they perpetuate injustice. Sometimes what happened, the laws, the way they are being used, that is a problem. We'll discuss both of these cases. First of all, in order to remove this infirmity, in order to remove this outdatedness, recently government has come out with the Jan Vishwas Amendment of the Provisions Act 2023. And under this Jan Vishwas Act, And under this Jan Vishwas Act, what government has done? Yes. So under this Jan Vishwas Act, government is bringing the changes in the 42 central acts, okay, such as the Indian Post Office Act, Railways Act of 1989, Cinematograph Act of 1952. So 42 such acts have been changed, and redundant provisions, outdated provisions, provisions which were not serving the needs of the present time, such provisions have been either removed, or they have been changed, or they have been removed, or they have been changed. Also, what government is doing? Government has also come out with the 3 criminal law amendment bill. So IPC, CRPC, and Indian Evidence Act are being replaced. So this is a government's attempt to make laws more representative, Then the next issue that comes here in the application of law is the credibility of crisis, or the crisis of credibility. Let's understand that what is this issue. So basically, often what happens, the people who are responsible for applying the law, they become the ones who break the law often. For example, often we hear in the news that police commit atrocities on the people, police commit atrocities on the vulnerable people. So by this, policing as an agency often loses credibility. People start fearing the police. So enforcement agencies should never have the weak credibility. Now, it has often been seen that the command group. Now, what is command group? Command group is constituted by the majoritarian will. Now, understand this thing. Often we hear that public sentiments against a particular group, against a particular person become negative. And as public sentiment become negative, police comes in the response, and police also do what the public expects. Okay. And you might have seen this example in the form of the bulldozer justice. So what has happened when the sentiments against a particular section or against a group of people have turned negative, police, state governments, they have used this bulldozer justice where the houses, shops, etc. have been bulldozed. This is something that is happening. Often it is being seen as that it is the application of a majoritarian will. Okay, so policing, when they are using encounters, when they are using the bulldozer justice, it has been criticized, because what happens, it is seen that it is replacing the investigation. Now, investigation is a long process. In investigation, on the basis of evidence, on the basis of process, on the basis of hit and trial, you will come to a conclusion. But bulldozer is an instant justice. So often what happens, these shortcuts are taken, but when we talk about these shortcuts, they are neither adequately debated, nor they are subjected to predetermined democratic checks and balances. So often in these instant justice cases, there is a possibility that vulnerable people, poor people, might be subjugated. But this is something that is happening. So again, I will paraphrase. Article says that in 2 ways injustices are happening. Number 1, old redundant laws are continuing. Number 2, the usage of law by the policing, etc., is being done in an unethical way. Okay, so this is also something that is happening. Now guys, already when we have the colonial laws, we have brought an amendment, we have brought the change. But guys, when we talk about these ways, bulldozer justice, instant justice that is going on, here we need to ensure that enforcement agencies are to be held accountable, and some reformatory practices here also needs to be brought. It has been provided that traditional rule of law notion, okay, which is premised on the uniformity, predictability, certainty. Okay, fine. Often what happens, it becomes slow. But the modern day practices of bulldozer justice, instant killings, mob lynchings, etc., they are seen as a shortcut or abridged form of rule of law. Okay, but this is something that is to be seen, that it might endanger the democracy in the long run. So here some immediate steps are needed. So this is something which the article has highlighted. Now, moving on to the next article. An ambitious push for values, ethics in higher education. We'll take this particular article with respect to GS paper number 4. Ethics in education. Role of values in education. We'll take this particular article. First of all, guys, before going in this particular article, let me tell you some basic background information. So basically, Radhakrishnan Commission. Radhakrishnan Commission. National Education Policy of 1986, amended in 1992. National Education Policy of 2020. All of them have focused on value-based learning. They all have focused on the value-based learning. Okay. According to all of them, it has been provided that ethics and the ethics in education will play an important role in developing the citizenry which is responsible and which is more democratic. So therefore ethics in education happens to be very important. Now, what this particular article is talking about? The article is talking about the new guidelines that have been released by UGC University Grants Commission. They have released the Mulya Pravah 2.0 guidelines. Please note it down in your notebook, Mulya Pravah 2.0, and please use in your ethics. Mulya Pravah 2.0. What is this? This is the upgraded version of Mulya Pravah, which was originally notified in 2019. Now, these particular values are expected to be incorporated in educational institution, in teachers, in the students union, etc. Now, often guys, we find this particular thing that even after 75 years of independence, even in the higher educational institutions, there are wide discriminations that are going on. There are the caste divisions that are there. Religious consciousness is there in the institution. So for that, ethical values are needed. So recently guys, what happened? There was a survey of human resource manager that was carried. And in this survey of human resource manager, it was found that in the hiring process in the colleges, there is still lot of unethical practices that are happening. For example, during the hiring, there is a favoritism in hiring that is there. Often sexual harassment is carried during the hiring processes. There is gender discrimination in promotion. People of a particular caste are promoted. So therefore, to undo all these particular things, ethics are needed. Now, what are the most important points of this Mulya Pravah 2.0? Let's see this particular thing one by one. So this Mulya Pravah 2.0, what it provides? Number one, it provides that there is a need for utmost transparency in administration. Administration should be carried in a transparent manner. Audited reports, wherever possible, should be provided in the public domain. Okay. Then after that, educational institution must be guided by institutional and public interest, not personal interest. Next is that certain values have been suggested which are needed to be there in an educational institution in all the people who are wielding the authority. For example, integrity, trusteeship, harmony, accountability, inclusiveness, commitment, respectfulness, belongingness, sustainability, constitutional values, global citizenship, cosmopolitanship. All these particular values have been recommended that they needed to be wielded in the office bearers in the higher educational institution. Please guys note it down. Directly you can use these particular points in your ethics GS paper number 4 paper. Ethics GS paper number 4 paper. Now, moving on to the next. Further, the Mulya Pravah 2.0 advises that officers and staffs should refrain from misappropriating financial and other resources for their own objective. The financial resource should be used for the well-being of the institution and the students. Next, higher educational institution must be mandated to voluntarily disclose all critical information and subject themselves to public scrutiny. Often we see that the confidentiality, information concealing happens. Certain information is not shared, saying that it is a secret of an organization. That is not happening. That should not happen. In fact, we have already come out with the RTA 2005, Right to Information Act 2005. So keeping it in mind, voluntarily information is to be disclosed. Then next question next has been providing is that teachers need to understand this particular thing, that teaching is a noble profession. And as the teaching is a noble profession, it expects a teacher to act as a role model for the students. If teachers will not be acting as role models, if they themselves perpetuate casteism, if they will perpetuate gender biasness, students will also learn that. So teachers need to understand the important role that they play as a role model. Also, this Mulya Pravah 2.0 also expects the staff student union to support the administration and should not always put obstacle in the work of administration. Often any change, even if the change is good, that is resisted by the teacher union, student union, etc. So such things should not happen. Also, higher educational institution are not just any organization, they are the communities of scholars. They are the communities of scholars, and these scholars should treat everyone equal. Such any discrimination should not be allowed to exist, and all the manners should be raised in a dignified manner and not in an undignified manner. So this is, guys, all about these particular guidelines that have been released. So I hope that you have understood it. And now moving to the next article. Understanding the European Union's carbon border tax. Understanding the European Union's carbon border tax. Now, guys, this article we are going to see with respect to GS paper number 3, environment related issues. GS paper number 3, India's external sector. India's external sector, India's exports. India's exports, we will take this article, and also with respect to the climate diplomacy. Fine, we'll take this particular article as well. Now, before going in this particular article, guys, let me give you some basic background information, and then you will understand this particular article better. So, understand this particular thing, that, guys, when we talk about European Union, European Union has signed Green Deal. European Union has signed Green Deal. And as the part of this Green Deal, they have provided this particular thing, that compared to 1990 level, they will reduce their emissions by 55% till 2030. Till 2030. So understand, by 2030, they will carry a reduction in their emissions by 55%. Okay, 55% of what? 55% of emissions what they are doing in 1990. Okay, so 55% emissions are to be reduced by 2030 by European Union as a part of a Green Deal. And in this particular capacity, they have taken many important steps and many important decisions. And in this particular direction, they are coming out with one more mechanism, that is carbon border. They're coming out with a new mechanism, that is the carbon border adjustment mechanism. Carbon border adjustment mechanism, CBAM. Now, what is this carbon border adjustment mechanism in the most simple terms? Let me explain you. So basically, guys, European Union is going to impose a carbon tax. European Union is going to impose, already it is in fact imposing the carbon tax on the industries within the European Union. Okay. And because this carbon tax actually is being imposed, what happens? Many of the things, for example, cement, aluminium, iron ore. Okay. So today making aluminium products in European Union has become very expensive. Why? Because over and above the production cost, they have to give this carbon tax. Manufacturing cement in European Union has become very expensive. Why? Because over and above manufacturing cost, the carbon tax is there. So what actually has done, these products such as cement, aluminium, iron ore, all these things are being imported by the countries such as India, China. Okay, this is something that is happening right now. Now European Union says this particular thing, that if you are importing any product in European Union which has been manufactured by a lot of carbon, which has been manufactured through a process in which a lot of carbon emission has happened, then on those products, even on those imported products, we will charge a carbon tax. Even on those imported products, we will charge a carbon tax. For example, earlier making cement in European Union was expensive because of the carbon tax. So what they were doing? They were importing cement directly from India. Okay. They were importing aluminium directly from India. Now, as these products will enter the European Union, there will be the carbon tax that will be imposed. So if carbon tax will be imposed, what will happen? India's competitiveness will go away. Today, India's products were cheap because this carbon tax was not there. But tomorrow when the carbon tax will come, India's products will lose that competitiveness. So therefore, developing countries such as India, China, they are protesting against this particular step. Okay. So what is happening? The policy, it intends to tax carbon intensive products coming into the European Union from 2026. Now this particular thing will come in, this particular step will come in process in two phases, number one, till December 2025, will be the transitional phase, and as a part of this transitional phase, all the European Union manufacturers, all the European Union importers, fine, they need to report, they need to report that what greenhouse gas emission was emitted in the production of a good that we are importing. If we are importing cement, how much greenhouse gas emissions happened while this cement was manufactured? They have to report this thing. So till 2025, it has to be reported. No financial obligation is there. But from January 1, 2026, the CBAM will come in the definitive phase. Now what will happen? They have to report the greenhouse gas emissions, and if these greenhouse gas emissions are more than what European Union allows, then they have to pay the money. They have to pay the carbon tax. This is something that has come in the place. Now guys, when we talk about India, India has also come out with its own carbon trading mechanism. In December 2022, India amended the Energy Conservation Act 2001 and is introducing the carbon credit trading system, in which what India is trying to incorporate. India is trying to increase the investment in clean energy. Okay, so industries, fine, which are using carbon intensive energy, okay, those industries will be imposed to pay high carbon tax. So India is coming out with such kind of a mechanism also. Now, basically guys, when we talk about India, India is among the top 8 countries that will be adversely affected by the CBAM. Now, as per the Global Trade Research Initiative report, it has been said that 27% of India's exports of iron, steel, aluminium, around whose values of $8.2 billion, they go to European Union. But these exports then will be reduced because the comparative advantage that India had earlier, it would be lost. Now, what is the options that India has? What are the options that India has? So when we talk about the options that India has, the first is challenge it as being violative of the common but differentiated responsibility. Now, under the common but differentiated responsibility, India says this particular thing that to combat climate change is a common responsibility, but the response will be differentiated. Developing countries will do less, developed countries will do more. So it has been said that as India is a developing country, they cannot immediately invest into the carbon technologies. They need time. So why their products are being penalized? So India can take a recourse under that. Second, what European Union can do? European Union could collect the tax and can return the funds to the countries such as India so that they can invest in green technologies. So that India tomorrow can bring the changes. Also guys, the next thing that is there, that what India has already done, India has challenged the CBAM under the World Trade Organization, that it is a differential treatment that is being given to India. But not only European Union, now the UK has also come out with its own CBAM by 2027. So now slowly and gradually all the developed countries now, they are coming out with these similar steps which might have a future implications on India. So we need to see that how India is going to deal with all these particular things in the times to come. So that is all guys about it. And now moving to the next article. Okay. We have this article debating India's new hit and run law. We'll take this particular article under GS paper number 2. Critical evaluation of government laws. Critical evaluation of laws and policies. Okay. Now guys, we have taken this particular article recently in the news also. What has happened around India in the states such as Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh and many other parts. We have seen that the transporters, truckers, they are protesting against the Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita section 106. They are protesting against Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita section 106 subclause 2. Why they're protesting against this section? Because this particular section deals with the hit and run case. What is hit and run case? Hit and run case is a case of accident where a person who was operating a vehicle has collided with a person, and rather than taking this person to hospital, or rather than reporting this matter, the person has escaped from the scene. This is the hit and run. And if we guys see, the hit and run cases have increased substantially in the last few years. So therefore, to deal with this hit and run, enhanced punishment and penalties have been proposed in the section 106 subclause 2 of the new Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita. It provides that there will be penalty of 10 years in jail and fine up to 7 lakh rupees if a person did not reported the accident matter to police or to the magistrate, to the police officer and magistrate. And if a person ran, then punishment up to 10 years will be given. So this particular thing is being protested by the truckers and the drivers across the country. Now, we are going to see on both the end what are the arguments in favor and what are the arguments in against. So this article we are going to see into the mains answer format. First of all, what are the concerns? Please note them step by step, or please download the PDF. So what are the concerns? So transporters, first concern that they have raised is that they provide that these are the stringent punishments. Okay. And actually they provide this thing that you are not identifying the root cause of the problem. Now, what are the root cause of the problem? Root cause number 1. They say this particular thing that number 1, there are the challenging work conditions. Okay. Guys, just a minute. I can see that the video is not working. Just give me 1 minute. Okay, just give me 30 seconds and this issue will be resolved. Okay, so now the video has come. So drivers say this particular thing that there are the challenging work conditions. Often what happens, now see, a person who is driving a truck, he might be getting a salary of 15-20,000 rupees, and always he is fighting with the deadline. He has to ensure that a cargo from Mumbai to Delhi reaches within 48 hours like this. So they don't get the time to rest. Also, if you see a roadside, do you find any facilities where they can rest? So the job conditions are very challenging. Work conditions are challenging. There is fatigue which happens and they are paid very much less. So you are not recognizing that, you are giving such high penalties. Often there are the long driving hours, there are the difficult roads, there are so many blank spots that are there on the roads. Engineering condition of the roads are not good. Because of that, a lot of accidents happen. They say that also sometimes accidents happen beyond the driver's control. For example, there is poor visibility due to fog. Right now in North India, you know that so many accidents are happening. So here, driver's role is also not there. Also guys, what happens many number of times, why drivers run? You need to understand that also often there is a mob violence that is carried against the driver if they have carried an accident. If they will stop there, they will help. What will happen? Mob might harm them, might kill them. So this is the reason that they run. So rather than addressing these reasons, what has happened? The higher punishments have been given. Now, this is the reason that it is unjustified. But on the other hand, we have reason in the support. Now, number 1, in 2022, India registered the highest count of road crash fatalities. 1.68 lakh deaths happened in 2022 in the road accidents. Now, secondly, there is a 5% global decrease in the road crash deaths, but India witnessed a year-on-year increase of 12% in road accident. India has only 1% of the world's vehicle, but 10% of the crash-related deaths happen in India, and it puts a loss of 5.7% of India's GDP gets lost because of this. 5.7% of India's GDP gets lost because of this thing. Now, number 1, accidents are increasing. Secondly, though accidents are increasing, but the drivers are not taking the responsibility. According to National Crime Record Bureau, 47,806 hit and run incidents have been there, which resulted to 50,815 deaths. So hit and run cases and the deaths because of the hit and run cases have been increased. So therefore, there is a need for a deterrent. There is a need for a deterrent. Now, also one more thing guys that has been provided is there. Let's see. This law creates a positive obligation on the part of an offender. Earlier offender, they are leading to an accident and they are running it. First of all, it is their moral responsibility, ethical responsibility to take that person to hospital. But now this has been considered in a legal responsibility. Now, if you take a person to hospital, your punishment will be reduced. Your punishment will be reduced. Now, earlier there was section 134 of the Motor Vehicle Act 1988. It requires a driver of the vehicle to take all reasonable steps to secure medical attention for the injured person. So by this particular thing, we see that this has happened. Now, also guys, one more thing is there, that there should be the concept of graded liability. Okay, there should be the concept of graded liability. All the cases should not be seen in a same way. Should not be seen in a same way. Understand this thing. Rash driving and negligent driving are different. Rash driving and negligent driving is different. Rash driving, okay, in a street you are operating a vehicle at the speed of 100 km, that is a rash driving. Negligent driving, you are not that much careful enough and by mistake you hit a pedestrian. Second and first case is different. So these cases are to be treated separately and they are not to be bracketed. They are not to be bracketed. Okay. Also guys, it has been provided that a determination of the actor's liability has to be seen in the behavior of commuter, road condition, lightening of the road. All these particular factors are needed to be seen while giving the punishment. Suppose that an accident happened in a countryside where an accident happened, but the people, they got angry immediately. So at that point of time, a driver might run. So in that cases, it should not be seen as a hit and run case. You might have to understand the condition. So keeping this particular thing in mind, the case by case approach, different treatment should be there. So that is all guys about this. And now moving to the next article. How surgical care in India is a neglected part of public health. Okay. Now, this particular article guys, we are going to see with respect to GS paper number 2 health. GS paper number 2 health. Okay. Now, basically guys, over the last 70 years, we have seen that India's focus on surgical care has been limited. India's focus on surgical care has been limited. Now, article provides this particular thing, that surgeries can be of two types, minor surgeries and major surgeries. What are minor surgeries? Surgeries which do not require general or spinal anesthesia, they are called as minor surgery. Surgery where anesthesia is required is a major surgery. In 2019 to 2020, okay, we find that India carried more than 14 million minor surgeries. 14 million minor surgeries were carried in India. But according to the Lancet Commission on Global Surgery, it seems to be much less than what is needed. So according to the Lancet Commission on Global Surgery, it is provided that there are millions of children, adults in India who need surgery for a lot of medical conditions, but they are not able to get the surgery. They are not able to get a surgery. So right to surgery is often treated as a luxury. Right to surgery is often treated as luxury. 90% of rural Indians are estimated that they did not have access to surgery when it was needed. Often what happened, a person fell down and a person needs the minor stitches. This is a kind of a minor surgery, but a person is not able to get. There are many reasons that why people don't get surgery in India. Now, what are the reasons people don't get surgery in India? Number one, many people are unable to reach the hospital in time. Poor road condition, non-availability of hospitals, non-availability of ambulance to take them to the hospital. Second, if someone is able to reach a hospital, there might not be necessary resources for the treatment. Sometimes doctor is not there, sometimes medicine is not there, sometimes the hospital is so crowded that you don't get the surgery. Third, the capacity to perform enough surgery is also undermined by the disparity based on where one lives, how much one is able to pay. People who are able to pay, people from upper middle classes might get a surgery easily, but lower class people, poor people might not be able to get. Fourth, the quality of surgical care determines whether someone will have a safe outcome or not. Often safe surgeries are not there. Hygienic, the surgeries with the sanitized equipment is not carried. Then, due to absence of universal healthcare coverage, often there is a limited surgical care capability in the system. Okay, fine. Now, there are certain NGOs, there are certain civil societies which are working to provide more and more surgical assistance to the people. For example, there is the example of Jan Swasthya Sahyog. Jan Swasthya Sahyog. It caters to the tribal population in the difficult to reach areas. Okay, but understand this thing that now the time has come. Now the time has come that we need to have dedicated focus on minor surgeries to all the people. To all the people. Now, it has been provided since then, since the Lancet has released its report. Many countries in Africa, South Asia, they have initiated a national surgical obstetric anesthesia plan, NSOAF, to enhance the minor surgeries. But India does not have any NSOAP, does not have any NSOP, that is a national surgical procedure or policy is not there. So therefore, in India, we need to ensure that these surgical interventions where they are needed need to be focused as soon as possible so that many avoidable complications later can be avoided today. Okay, so that is all guys about this particular article. Beyond that, nothing much is given in this particular article and I'll not advise you to go beyond it. Then DRDO counter drone system ready, handed over to private firms. So this article will see with respect to GS paper number 3, indigenization of defense. Now, first of all, what is the counter drone system? Counter drone system. Understand this particular thing that many times enemy drones might enter in India for spying purpose, for carrying some harm in the Indian territory or for drug delivery, etc. So these drones are to be neutralized and for that counter drones are needed which can neutralize these particular drones. And for that DRDO has developed the counter drone system and it is ready for production. And this counter drone system has been demonstrated to armed services and the other internal security agencies. And also DRDO is ready to give this particular technology to other private sector manufacturers also, so that onto the mass scale these particular counter drones can be produced. On the mass scale the counter drones can be produced. Now this particular technology is suitable for detection, identification and neutralization of intruding drone in our country. Also guys, what drone is now focusing? Drone is also now focusing on high endurance unmanned aerial vehicles which can travel long distance. Also medium altitude long endurance vehicles also DRDO is developing. Now these particular drones will be used for reconnaissance, surveillance in the low intensity conflict. In the developmental purposes, these drones will be utilized. Okay, and as I told you that these drone technology is being provided to the private sector. So private industries, Adani, Larsen and Toubro, ICOM, they will be provided this technology transfer by DRDO so that they can manufacture these drones on the mass numbers. Okay. Now, guys, these kind of an examples you can write in your GS paper number 3, internal security also. Okay, and then the main practice answer for today. What is the European Union's proposed carbon border adjustment mechanism? How will it impact Indian exports? GS paper number 3, 10 marker. So that is all guys about this session for today. I hope that you have understood, and with this we come to an end to the today's session. Thank you so much.